My name is Jason McCoy. I'm a Martin County citizen who has spoken out against the Midstates Corridor. I've been to a lot of these meetings. I've got a lot to unpack. I hope most of it's new information that you haven't heard before. I hope it's all helpful information to you. Since I have so much to unpack, I won't be taking any questions during my presentation or hearing any comments. My cell phone number is up here if anybody wants to take a picture of it. I'd love to hear from you if you have questions or comments, but not today. A lot of us have been frustrated with this Midstates Corridor project. I've heard a lot of people say many times, well, they've already made up their minds. They're going to do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter what I say. And to that, I've always wondered, I haven't always asked, but sometimes I've always wondered, well, who are they? Who are they? When you say they made up their mind, they're going to do whatever they want to do, it doesn't matter what I say. Who are they? Who are we talking about? Next slide, please. To understand who they are, we have to start with German American Bank, okay? Mark Schroeder was the president of German American Bank. He sits on the board of directors now. German American Bank's banking, insurance, and wealth management. Okay, next slide, please. In 2008, right, when everything crashed, which we all learned was caused by banks, insurance companies, and wealth management firms, GAB did what every other bank did at the time, right? They're in the ditch. They're starting to look at ways to rebuild, okay? So if you're down in the ditch and you're looking for ways to rebuild, and you're in Dubois County, you don't have to look very far for resources, okay? Because there's resources all around Dubois County. The bank in Dubois County does business with people, and rightfully so, that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Powerful people, right? So who are they? Who do they want to go to so that they can leverage and come up out of the ditch? Who are they? Next slide, please. Well, they're Hank Minke, OFS in Huntingburg, Mike Braun, we all know Mr. Braun, Meyer Distributing, Ken Mulzer Jr., Mulzer Crush Stone, Mark Schroeder from German American Bank, and David Drake, SMC Mining, and NDOT Insider. That's important. I want you to remember an NDOT Insider because we're going to be circling back around to that. Okay, so let's take them one at a time. Next slide, please. Hank Minke of OFS, he's in the logistics business, which is another way of saying trucking. He's got a furniture factory and employs a lot of us, okay? But he also owns Styline Logistics, a trucking company, and they move freight all over the country. Okay, he did $400 million last year. Next one, Mike Braun, same business, right? Meyer Distributing. These guys are trucking company magnates, okay? Mr. Braun's, just that business of Mr. Braun's did $610 million last year. Next, Ken Mulzer Jr. from Mulzer Crush Stone. Why is he important? He's important because he controls all the sand and gravel and the concrete and the pavement in this area of the country. $330 million last year, okay? Mark Schroeder, of course, German American Bank. Back up some if you could. Here we go. David Drake, SMC Mining Corp, coal mining magnate, SMC, $5.5 billion. This guy's important. He's very important. I didn't have any idea who this guy was, no clue. But he's important. He's incredibly important. Next slide, please. Mark Schroeder, of course, former president, current board member of German American Bank, $2.9 billion. All told, next slide, please. These guys worth over $10 billion, 10 plus billion dollars, okay? And that's a good thing, I think, right? Because these are business people and they bring jobs. A lot of us probably work for them, okay? But in 2008, they're in the toilet and they don't want to be in the toilet. The bank's in the toilet. They don't want to be in the toilet and no bank wants to be. Nobody in business wants to be in a ditch, right? So how can we start leveraging things? What can we do? Keep in mind, these people are already worth billions. They need more, I understand that. So how can we get more money? Right? Next slide, please. This is a direct quote from Mark Schroeder. The Midstates Corridor, as it's envisioned, says Schroeder, it would actually pull traffic, we believe, from I-65 from Nashville to Bowling Green through our area, and then eventually place it on I-69 as it continues north to Indianapolis. Now we know that for the last 40 years, they have been trying to get a road built. And as long as they've been trying to get a road built, not just these guys, but they, their predecessors, the rest of us have been saying, no, we're not interested in that. We don't want a road. We get that you guys are in this business, plenty of hubs up in Indianapolis, but this is where we want to be and we don't want that. Plus, we don't want to pay for it. So the answer is no. So none of us have been willing to pile onto that. I want to go back to that Mark Schroeder thing again because it confused me just a little bit when I saw it. The Midstates Corridor, as it's envisioned, says Schroeder, it would actually, and he stutters just a little bit, it will pull traffic, we believe, from I-65 from Nashville to Bowling Green through our area and then eventually place it on 69. Wait a minute, I thought that the reason this whole road thing was important was to relieve traffic congestion. That's what I thought was going on, okay? I didn't understand this. So why does it make sense then? Can you go back to the whole group of people for me, Teresa? Thank you. If you're these guys though, it makes perfect sense, right? We need the road. If you're these guys, why? Because Hank's rocking $400 million a year with his trucks. Mr. Braun, 6'10". Ken Moser Jr., here's our guy that's going to supply all the materials for the road. Mark Schroeder, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say all this money might be running through German American Bank. And David Drake, bulldozers, earth movers, and an in to NDOT, which they need. They got it all worked out, okay? So what's all the hubbub about? This is the day, by the way. What's all the hubbub about, right? Why do we need to change laws and all the study and stuff? Well, it turns out that if you want to build a road and you got the money and you have the inclination, okay, you can't just do it, right? You got to get a buy-in from the public. You got to get a buy-in from us, right? And so far we're saying, no, we're not going to do it. We're not interested. But they're determined, and they've been determined for a very long time, and they're used to having been told no by all of us for a very long time, and I got a feeling they're tired of being told no, so now they get organized, right? Now they put their minds to it, and they come up with a very good plan. Next slide, please. 2011 is a very important date. 2011 is very important because in 2011, Hank Minke approaches the Dubois County Commissioners on bended knee with hat in hand asking for a donation from Dubois County to fund a study. Now we all know Hank Minke, he doesn't need to borrow beg $25,000 from Dubois County Council. But what you do need is you need a buy-in from the public, right? You need participation from the public, and that's how you get it, right? So he was voted out. He was told no. Okay, the council said, no, we're not doing it. Our constituents don't want it, right? They voted. They said no. The vote was 4-2, okay? Shane Lindauer voted yes. Elmer Brahmas voted yes. Everybody else said no. They even went as far as to say, we can't vote for this, Mr. Minke, because our people don't want it. They've told us. They don't want it. So Hank gets on the agenda for next month. In the meantime, talks with people on the side. And when we circle back around 30 days later, the vote's yes this time. Now they say yes, okay. One of the best sources of information for this whole road that you guys can look at on your phones, and it's the best, because it's the truth. It's a chronological case history of who did what, when, where, how, why. It's all laid out And you can look at it from your phone and you can look, it's perfectly organized. It's all honest and it's the truth. It's the words that all these people came out of their own mouth during interviews. And if you go to Dubois County Free Press, DC Free Press, it's a free newspaper, you don't have to pay. Click on Midstates Corridor, okay? And 13 pages of articles, 13 pages with about a half a dozen articles on each page will pop up. Don't read from page 1. Start back on page 13 when the first article was written and read. It lays it all out. I've never had a more, okay, I can see what's happening here moment than I did after I did that. So, Hank gets approval, they give him the money, and more importantly than that, the participation from the public. That allows him to form a 3P partnership with Travis McCoy from the Huntingburg Airport and Eric Shue, powerful attorney from Jasper. What's a 3P partnership? Public-private partnership. Okay, now they have a mechanism to start trying to research this road. Okay, they got plenty of money. Now they need political clout. So who do we got? Who do we got for political buddies? Who do we got? Can we switch? Governor Eric Holcomb, Sue Ellspermann, former Indiana Lieutenant Governor, and sits on the board of directors of German American Bank. Very powerful person, Sue Ellspermann. Incredibly powerful, well-connected, very powerful. Engineer, again, hardworking. I'm sure these are all wonderful people. But they have an agenda, and so far it's been hidden from me. Former Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz, Mike Braun, former Huntingburg Mayor Denny Spinner, and our state representative, former Dubois County Councilman Shane Lindauer. It's important to note, I want to note that prior to 2014, Mike Braun didn't hold public office. Well, he sat on the school board in Jasper, but prior to 2014, just 10 years ago, he didn't hold public office, right? He ran his business, did a great job for a Main Street business. When he gets elected in 2014 as state rep, there's an uptick in German American Bank stock. No big deal, that could be explained. Now, though, we've got some power. Now we got a man in the house. Next slide, please. Let's get some laws changed. Let's get busy. Let's get some laws changed. Let's get rocking and rolling here, folks. So I'll give you, well, wait a minute, before we do that, who do we got? There's Terry Seitz, Hank Minke, Denny Spinner, Travis McQueen, Mike Braun, and the governor. Next slide, please. I give you Senate Bill 128, okay? I know you all probably know this already, but humor me. This session, lawmakers set out to pass a long-term sustainable plan to fund Indiana's roads and bridges, and we were able to achieve that, Braun said. In addition to the resources allocated to locals in our road funding plan, this law gives regional areas additional tools to help fund their specific infrastructure projects. By providing a new way for local governments and businesses to have skin in the game, we can encourage them to prioritize projects that have a greater economic or regional impact while also working to improve the quality of roads and bridges in their areas. What's wrong with that? I don't have a problem with any of that. I like roads and bridges. I like them a lot, right? I want everything to be good, and this all sounds wonderful. Next slide, please, Teresa. Under the new law, RDAs, whoa, wait a minute. RDAs, that's a new one for me. Under the new law, RDAs. What's that? RDA. Under the new law, RDAs would be able to apply for fast lane federal grants, which fund road and bridge projects across the country. Local governments could transfer money out of their general or rainy day funds to support regional infrastructure development, and RDA What is that? An RDA could also enter into an agreement with the Indiana Department of Transportation to contribute local matching funds to pay for these projects. Braun says pooling local and state federal resources into regional initiatives should stretch dollars further and complete projects sooner. All right, well, according to Braun, this law could help jumpstart the Midstates Corridor project through Dubois and Martin and Spencer counties. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything in Martin County. The Midstates Corridor is a planned interstate grade highway connecting Interstate 64 to Interstate 69. I didn't know about any of that. It all sounded great until that. Next slide, please. It goes on and on. Keep on going. Keep on going. Right there. I think they get the picture. I could read the whole bill to you, but you guys can find it on your own. I think you understand what I'm arriving at here, okay? The very moment Senate Bill 128 gets signed into law, German American bank stocks skyrockets to $38.40 a share. Remember, we started in the ditch at $7. As soon as that bill gets signed, now they're up $38.40, 5 times. I'm interested to know who bought shares in GAB before that stock skyrocketed. The RDA, the Regional Development Authority. That sounds a little nerve-wracking to me. I'm not sure about that. So does the law, create the RDA, or does the law allow for the creation of an RDA? Well, the latter. It allows for the creation of an RDA. Well, who gets to create it? Well, the law, as it's written, only requires 2 counties to participate in the RDA, even if the project associated with it goes through many counties. And this RDA was created by Dubois and Spencer counties. Now look, thank God. And how does the RDA board members get appointed? By the county commissioners and the county council and mayors, Dubois County, Jasper, and Huntingburg. So thank goodness that we live in a country and that we live in a state where not just anybody could be allowed to sit on this RDA board, right? I mean, this RDA board, you guys, is a powerful thing. It's very powerful. They have the power to try to take your property if they want to, bulldoze through your farm, and route their road through or around your town if they want. So I'm sure that whoever's job it is to appoint the people to this very powerful RDA board, I'm sure that they would choose people to be on the board who are objective and honest and who wouldn't have ulterior motives for wanting to be on that board, right? Because that couldn't happen here. We wouldn't let that happen here. Let's meet our RDA board. Mark Schroeder, German American Bank. Sue Ellsperman, Ivy Tech, former Lieutenant Governor, board member, sitting board member, German American Bank. Ken Moser Jr., Moser Crush Stone, sits on the board of directors at German American Bank. Here's our NDOT in David Drake, Attorney Scott Blasey, and Attorney Bill Kaiser from Jasper. This is our RDA board. This is the they. This is the they. So now what? Now the RDA's job, one of them, is to start collecting money from all the businesses in Dubois County who want to contribute to this private-public partnership that Braun's given us. But remember, there has to be a public, objective, honest study done before they can build a road, and half that money has to come from private businesses. Right? It's required. Study needs to come from private businesses. Okay, so already to me, guys, this isn't looking good. It's looking shady to me because now, see, I've lost confidence. I don't have any more confidence in this. Now it feels like my farm and everybody else's farm, who means something to me, is kind of being well, it seems to me like it's on the chopping block by people who don't even know me. Controlling private industry is a very public matter, okay? So I'm interested in who our partners are. I want to meet our partners. I want to know who they are. So it took several months to get the list. Several phone calls and more than a few stern words, right? Eventually, Bill Kaiser acquiesced and gave the list. So let's meet our partners here. "95% of the list is blacked out. I thought it was a mistake. Hey, there's something wrong with your printer. Your printer's broke. Can I get the list?" No, that's the list. What do you mean? They don't want you to know who they are. These are our partners in this whole thing, right? But they don't want us to know who they are. So I'm concerned about that, right? It seems unethical to me, not just shady, but unethical. But no big deal, right? Because we've got a saving grace. Because the law requires here that an EIS be done, an environmental impact study be done, to see if we even need this road and how it's going to affect us and whether we want it, right? None of us want it. None of us need it. So I'm sure that that'll all be revealed in the required study that the state mandates be done. So who gets to choose the company that does a study? It couldn't be the RDA, right? That would be a conflict of interest. Actually, the RDA gets to choose who does the study. So let's meet the Lockmiller Group. Handpicked. The Lockmiller Group. The Lockmiller Group is committed to improving the quality of life for both communities and clients through thoughtful, actionable planning and engineering services. We base our work on clients' aspirations to, wait a minute. We base our work on clients' aspirations. We base our work on clients. So if I'm the client, I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. Because I aspire to stop talking about all this and get back to laying brick, which is what I do. I'm a bricklayer. And I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to lose sleep over it. So I'm hoping I'm the client because these guys base their work on the client's aspirations to support each project with applicable data and the most accurate forecasting tools available. For over 40 years, our history, we've expanded to encompass a wide range of services in road traffic, structural, environmental, and water resource design. Today, we assist our clients each step of the way from planning through execution. We're not the clients. RDA is the client. They assist the client each step of the way from planning through execution. And that means, where's Mike Arvin? Your house gets bulldozed, Jack, and whoever else. That's execution. Who are they? Now, next slide, please. Now, oh, wait a minute, hang on. This is where it starts to get interesting. Can we play that video? Watch real close, please.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla?
I didn't see it.
This video is from.
I didn't see the gorilla, and it really made me mad. Because I felt kind of silly, I felt stupid, I felt duped. And I was, that's the whole point of the experience. But I was really mad because I got the right answer. 15, man. I thought, yeah, I got it. I'm the man. I'm paying attention. The problem was, I'm paying attention to what they're telling me to pay attention to, which isn't really helping me. So who are the they now? This is the they now. The governor, NDOT, the RDA, and the Lockmiller Group, all controlled and guided by German American Bank's board of directors, and they, in my opinion, are colluding with one another to take your property. Can we get another slide, please? Here they are. Don't look at the gorilla, though. Don't pay any attention to the gorilla. Just count how many times we're passing the ball, right? Next slide, please. This is they. Hey, it's the governor and Hank Minke. It's Sue Ellsperman at Churchill Downs. Hank Minke, Mike Braun. Denny Spinner, the mayor of Jasper. Mike Braun, Hank Minke, and his smoking hot, sexy girlfriend that I went to high school with, Corky Dugan. Next slide, please. Hank Minke, Denny Spinner, Mayor Terry Seitz going for a plane ride in Hank's private jet. What else we got? Hey, it's Mike Pence. Mike Pence, I think that blurry guy on the left is Mike Pence. Let's give that a chance to load up. I'll just tell you, it's Mike Pence on the left, it's Mike Braun in the middle, and it's Hank Minke on the right. Mike Braun, Hank Minke, and Mitch McConnell. Can you go one more? Back it up a second, if you would. I get pretty angry about this point right here. Because I don't begrudge anybody anything, right? If I had a private jet and people were running their mouth about me, you know what I'd say about them? You're just pissed off, you don't have a private jet. I'm just doing better than you, and I'm smarter than you, and I got a jet and smoking a hot girlfriend, and you don't, and you're mad about it. I'm not mad about that. I didn't care when it didn't affect me. Next slide, please. This is the they. Guys, when I found out about this, I addressed the Martin County Commissioners. When I learned about all this, I came to our local commissioners meeting, and I asked them what the position on the corridor was. Here's what happened. Commissioner Paul George said, I'm concerned about it. I think it's bad for Martin County, and I don't like it. Cody Roush and Aaron Summers said, I don't know anything about it. Now, to Cody Roush's credit, to my knowledge, he requested a meeting with the RDA, and upon information and belief, he went to talk to him in the basement of German American Bank, and they told him, yeah, you can have a seat if you play ball. We don't want you if you're not gonna play ball. I also addressed the Martin County Council members and asked each one of them for their formal position. What's your formal position on the road? The first councilman I talked to said, and I quote, I'm against the road, but they've already made up their minds. I can't do anything about it. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. And I said, do you know who they are? And he said, yeah, you know, the road people. The road people. Since then, there have been a couple meetings here and there. Joey Lannon, one of our local residents, an aspiring consultant, had one here at the cafeteria talking about meetings he's been to with the powers that be and how they've graciously decided to consider other options for us around Loogootee. Joe, if you're out there, thank you. But to me, that sounds like the time I was 7 and my mom gave me a choice between cauliflower, broccoli, and Brussels sprout. You choose, she said. I didn't fall for that when I was 7, and I'm not falling for it at 57. Also, I'm uncomfortable with anybody talking to them about what they think is best for us, right? I've learned from some of the folks here that they haven't been communicating much with our elected officials here in Martin County anymore. And when they were asked about it, inquired about it, they said, well, we're communicating with your local representative, so please stop. If you're not an elected official, I'm not comfortable with you negotiating on my behalf, all right? Recently I've heard, well, if it does come through, we don't want to get left behind. And that makes sense, but to that again, please stop. Because that's like saying, hey, we'll be your slave, just please don't kill us. Just don't leave us behind, and we'll pony up. Now, here in Martin County, I hear we have a Midstates Corridor steering committee apparently set up with the help of our county attorney, Dave Lett, who, you guessed it, sits on the board of German American Bank. I know it's going to piss a lot of people off because he's from here. But Mr. Lett, if your plan with regard to this steering committee doesn't involve steering this road off a cliff, then I'm going to be at the next county council meeting asking for your resignation. That's how I feel about that. And I know those are harsh words, but that's how I feel about it. Folks, a reporter asked John D. Rockefeller, the richest man in the world at the time, how much more money do you want? To which Rockefeller replied, more than I've got. That's what the richest man in the world said, more than I've got. See, to these guys, building a new terrain highway, it makes perfect sense. If you're these guys, the wider, the longer, the better. The bigger, the better. They'll make hundreds of millions of dollars off the building of this road, our tax dollars, by the way, okay? Then billions more over time if they can get it built. But they've got a problem, okay? There's a problem with their plan. They missed something. They missed something. There's something that they're not realizing. And I think what they're not realizing is, and I don't mean to be a pep speech, I really believe this, we're not just ignorant farmers over here on this side of the river. We're not. It's true they've done a great job keeping it from us. They've done a very good job keeping it from us. They probably had some help. But we're becoming more informed. They've been thinking this whole time that they could just roll over and take. They've intentionally kept it from us. They've kept us in the dark and they've kept us uninformed. And that's pretty smart on their part, because you can control an uninformed majority. It's easy to control an uninformed majority. Most of these people south of the White River pay us no attention whatsoever. They've never given us so much as a buy or a leave, and the hubris and arrogance that they have in thinking they could just roll through Martin County and bulldoze our homes and farms is astounding to me. I hope it's astounding to you. The idea that we're just going to simply lay down and take it, to me, is preposterous. I can't get my mind around it. I can't get my mind around any of us, just to lay down and do that, or believing that they actually have the power to do that. These people are worth billions of dollars, billions between them, billions, not hundreds of millions. They do that in a year. These people between them are worth billions, and they want more than they've got. So everybody, this is the who and the why, and the rest is actually, what to do about it is actually the easiest part of this whole thing. You should understand that the decision to try to move forward with this road, whether or not to do it, rests in the hands of our next governor. How Mike Braun feels about this road, it's his road, okay? I, for one, think that to put Mike Braun in the governor's seat for 4 years would be a mistake, but I'm only one vote. If Braun does get elected governor, then it falls on us, people sitting in this room. And the reason it falls on us, people sitting in this room, is because we're the landowners. And I think folks might not understand what that really means. I'm going to talk just a little bit about that, and I'm about done. First of all, you can forget about talking to the politicians and our reps about this. You forget about that, right? You don't need to call NDOT. You don't need to talk to the RDA. It is a waste of time. A complete and utter waste of time. They've all been bought and paid for. That die has been cast. Can I get a slide here? Actually, back it up for a second, if you would. Guys, to be clear, I want to say something about me. I don't hate any of these people. I don't, okay? It's not my intention to impugn them. Jesus said, I feel silly saying this because I'm not a preacher, but I know Jesus said, let he without sin cast the first stone, and I, of all people, am certainly not without sin. I may very well be the most flawed person in this room. I can make a good argument for that. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm not the wealthiest person in the room. I'm not a public speaker or a community organizer. I'm not running for public office. I'm not being paid to be up here. I'm here because I think we need each other to be on the same page. They want to take part of my farm. They want to take my cousin's farm. And they want to take a lot of your farms. And if I can't get some help, and if I can't help people, then they're going to do it. So despite what you've been told, you don't have to sell your land. They can't just take your land. This is everything else I talked about is window dressing. It's all just, this is kind of what's going on. It's important stuff. Okay, but my daughter told me, she said this right here. Be animated about this part right here, because this right here, this is the meat. This is what they need to know. More than anything else, they need to know this right here. And that's it. They can't just take your land. Eminent domain laws in Indiana are the hardest in the country to enforce. They have to go through due process just like every other court case, okay? Some of you might listen to the words court case, and it might freak you out just a little bit. And I get that it can kind of be freaky, okay? It is, for some people, a little bit freaky, okay? I've been in the construction business for 37 years. I don't do big $10 million jobs. I do little jobs. $2,000 job here, $20,000 job there, $50,000 job there, and in Indianapolis and big cities. And in big cities, people won't pay their bills. You run into a lot of crooks and a lot of crazies, right? So I'm in court all the time. I'm either suing somebody or I'm getting sued by somebody. To me, it's just old hat. It doesn't mean anything. It's part of doing business, no big deal. But I understand to a lot of people who've probably never been in a courtroom, you think, oh man, so if I don't sell, then they can sue me? Yeah, they can sue you, so what? Any attempt to engage in the process of eminent domain, it takes 6 years or more to even get that started. Most people don't know that. Most people think that eminent domain means, oh, I didn't return the call, so now there's a bulldozer in my front yard. No, that's not what happens. It takes years, and the cost of suing for eminent domain is astronomical. It's astronomical to the state. It's cost prohibitive, even for the state. Keep in mind, when they do it, they're suing us with our own money. And people don't like that, right? So if there's a couple people in here who hang tough, but everybody else lays down, yeah, they'll sue me. They'll sue you. They'll sue a couple of us, no big deal. They'll rock and roll that just fine, right? So what's the number, right? What's the number? What's the number? My uncle was on the other side of this thing for 30 years. He was a chief real estate appraiser for San Diego County for 30 years. And he was kind of the Lockmuller guy. He retired recently, he came home, I said, hey Quinn, what's going on here? He goes, well, I said, you were the guy that came out to take people's ground, right? He goes, yeah. Well, you know, they were all for good projects, and you know, it benefited everybody. Your cousin there, Jim. So, like, did every project go? Oh no, most of them did, but some of them didn't. So which ones went? Well, most of them went because people don't know any better. I mean, they like really don't even know any better. I'm talking about smart people, wealthy people. A lot of them don't know any better. So what I'm looking to do, right? What I'm looking to do as the guy who's wanting to take their ground, what I'm looking for is, first of all, the lawyers that send out all the letters, I'm in with those guys, you know, that are going to represent you, right, in the sale of your land, to make sure that you get a fair deal, okay? I'm in with those guys, right? That's my recon team, right? So I know going into a situation, because I talk to those guys, hey, how many people have laid down already? And they share that information with me, right? Because those guys don't get paid unless the road goes through. They want the road to go through. The lawyers that send you the letters, and they need the road to go through because they don't get paid otherwise. So I'm getting that information on the side. And here's what I'm looking for, Jason. I'm looking for about 25% right out of the gate. I want to know how many people are already calling the lawyers going, well, I guess there's nothing really we can do about it. So how much are you going to charge me? He said, now I know, kind of get a feel for what's going on. The next 50%, and that's what I want, is the next 50%, I'm looking for the Ma and Pa Kettles. Who knows who Ma and Pa Kettle are? About half of you? Okay, so for those youngsters who don't know Ma and Pa Kettle, that's unsophisticated people. I'm looking for the unsophisticated people who just don't know no better, right? I'm hoping I get about 50% of those, right? After that, I'm looking for the guy who he doesn't want to sell, but that new GMC Denali's looking pretty good. I mean, I've never really had a whole bunch of good money, right? I mean, maybe give me a new boat. We were thinking about that condo thing down in Florida. Yeah, no, I can kind of see maybe getting some money. I said, okay. So we kind of divide and conquer. He said, yeah. I said, what do you got to have? He said, I got to have 35%. He said, I'm sorry. He said, I got to have over 35%. I got to have over 35%. If I can't get 35% of the people to lay down and let us take their ground, I'm in trouble. Because the state of California can't sue 35% of the people. They just can't do it. I mean, not even the state of California has that kind of money. I need just about everybody just to give in. And so we're trained to talk a real slick game. Well, you know, this road's going to happen. I mean, there's no question about that, right? This is what he says when he says this road's going to happen. It's already been decided. We just want to make sure that you get the right valuation for your property. And he's convincing. And again, he's not a bad guy. This is his job. His job is to convince you that you have to sell. And you don't have any choice in the matter, but it couldn't be farther from the truth. I said, okay, so who shuts you down? In California, who are the people who, when you come up against and you start talking your spiel, who are you afraid of? Who shuts you down? He goes, well, he said, I know when that's going to happen, right? Because I come into an area, and the minute I start talking, first of all, I don't get any response letters. I call my lawyer buddies, hey, are they responding? Yeah, no, nobody's calling. What do you mean? I mean, nobody's calling. They ain't buying it, Quinn. They're not buying it. So then he starts going out. They're not responding. Starts calling. Oh yeah, what is it? You take? Oh yeah, no. Sorry. Shows up at the house. Hello. What is it? What? Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm not selling my property. When people do that, I know I'm in trouble. Because now I know I'm talking to the sophisticated people. And we don't like sophisticated people at all. Because they know, they're informed. They know we can't just roll in and take their property. So they're not worried about it. Kind of like your great-grandpa did, Jason, back in the day. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, your great-grandpa, Raymond Armstrong, you know, had the farm over here in Pennyville. Yeah, I know. Well, in the 30s, the man came out on a horse and he said, Mr. Armstrong, we're gonna electrify this whole area here, Davis County, and we're gonna put 3 telephone poles on your property here. And we're gonna string electrical lines through it. My grandpa said, all right, how much are you paying? Oh no, we're not gonna pay you. No, we're not paying you. I'm just telling you, he just went in the house. That was the end of the discussion. And a week later, the guy came back. Same exact thing happened. Same thing happened. We're not paying. Grandpa just walked back in the house. And 2 weeks later, this actually happened over here by Glendale. 2 weeks later, 2 men showed up in a car. First guy was on a horse, right? Because it's back in the 30s in the country. 2 guys show up in a car in suits and they get out and they explain to my grandpa, great-grandpa, they sit him down, they say, not sure you understand, Mr. Armstrong, we're gonna put electric. My grandpa said, I understand, I get it. But there's a million places you can put these telephone poles. You don't have to put them on my property. You can, but you're gonna have to pay me. So in the end, he collected $500 and used that to buy some sugar laying ground over by Washington. And he didn't talk about it. He didn't go call the governor. He didn't storm the courthouse with pitchforks and rakes, the stuff we've all been doing. He just said, no, I'm not doing it. So the data shows that they're unable to sue more than 35% of the people. That's not good enough for me, because I want to be sure. I mean, I asked one of our politicians recently, hey, what's the number? I don't really want to say. Well, I'm asking you, what is it? Well, I don't really want to say. I don't really want to say what the number is. I mean, you understand, you put me on the spot here, Jason. Well, what's the number? Can we stop it? If 50% of the people say, no, I'm not selling, and don't ever say anything else, he says, no, we can't do it if you do that. We can't do it. The state of Indiana won't sue 50% of these people for eminent domain. Can't do it. So here's the job as I see it, okay? First, me. I'm not asking you guys to do this, but me, I'm clearing everything I got out of German American banking fast. Investments, loans, insurance, whatever I can do to get away from them, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it now. I'm not gonna wait. This single action is my loudest, most powerful voice. Wait for my voice to be heard.
That's loud and powerful. It's probably the battery in the.
Can we get some audio up here? Wait a minute, I don't need audio.
You need a battery.
My sister said when I talk loud, I'm off-putting. I said, I need to be off-putting? She said, well, no, you need to be off-putting too, but when you talk loud, you're off-putting. I'm gonna clear my stuff out of GAB. Let me know when you get that audio back up, please. Second thing, so the loudest message that I want to send is, I'm getting out of German American Bank. I'm telling my family members, get out. Stock's higher than it's ever been because of this road and these people that are trying to put it through, right? I'm not going to contribute to that. And I don't want my family to contribute to that. I'm not interested in that, right? Because really, folks, right now, the way I feel, right? You're either my friend or you're my enemy. That's what this is coming down to. You're with me or you're against me. You're trying to kill me and I'm trying to survive, is how personal this is for me. Second, resign yourselves to the fact that you won't be selling your property. You're not going to sell your property. Don't respond to the lawyer letters wanting to represent you. They only make money if the road goes through. They want the road to go through. They want the road to go through. Thank you. Third, let your neighbors know that you're not budging. Let your neighbors know that you're not budging. all right? It'll help them keep their resolve if they know they have support from like-minded neighbors. Next, resolve to cancel all politicians, even our local representatives who may not be taking this issue seriously enough or who are taking a lax approach towards this. Insist on accountability, not only from our elected officials, but from ourselves. From ourselves. Ask our city and county representatives what we can do to help them best represent us. I noticed here in Martin County, that doesn't really happen. Happens in Dubois County, because I sit in those meetings all the time, right? I'm a member of the Dubois County Builders Association. I was in the room with 300 builders and businessmen when Mike Braun came home victorious with Senate Bill 128 in his hand, to roaring applause. Everybody's gathered together over there. These elected positions here, they don't pay a lot. It's hard and it's thankless work at times. They could use our help, our local politicians and representatives. They could use our help and guidance, and I'm sure that they would appreciate it. We shouldn't really complain about any of them if we're not willing to step in and take some accountability ourselves, right? If we're not willing to go to the council meetings, or if we're not willing to at least call these people, let me tell you something. There's not a politician in the state of Indiana that I can't get on the phone in one day. Not one, if I had to, right? I call our county commissioners on their cell phones, and you know what they do? They pick up the phone. Sometimes they pick up the phone when they're on the toilet at their house. I know, because I can tell. And they talk, and they say, what do you need? What are you thinking? What can I do for you? Right? So we should all be doing that, right? Because they are our elected voice. They're our representatives, okay? I hope I've not opened up a can of worms. I'm sure you don't want to be bothered on the toilet. Mr. Gregory. Finally, let's talk with our city mayor, Brian Ader, and our county officials, and decide together what we envision for the future of Martin County to be. Right? We will decide ourselves. I want us to decide for ourselves what our county will be used for and how to move forward with our goals. Right? Not those guys. I received a call from a guy who I don't know last week. His name's Larry Goldman. Mr. and Mrs. Goldman got married in 1968. He worked for Crane for years. They bought a house and 40 acres here in Loogootee. They've got a pond, a pole barn. They built a smokehouse. They got young trees. He'd like to keep his place. He doesn't want to lose that. The deed to Joey Lannon's farm has John Quincy Adams' signature on it. Like John Quincy Adams' signature is actually on the deed to Joey Lannon's farm. These places are priceless to us. They can't be bought. Thank you. These places are priceless to us and they can't be bought. They can only be stolen. For some of us, they can only be stolen. My kids, 6 generations, draw water from the well that their great-great-grandfather dug with his own hands on our farm. Mr. Goldman and Mr. Lannon, I'll make the same pledge to you that I made to my kids, and that's this. If they come for you, and you choose to stand in your field with sword and shield, I'll be prepared to stand next to you and get bloodied. So this concludes my presentation. I thank you for your kind attention. If any of you want to talk to me, afterwards, not today, but if anybody wants to talk, my phone number's up here. If you guys have any comments or questions that you want to share with me, I encourage you to call. Thank you. All right, thank you.